shoots the wounded man in the head and kills him.
How on God's earth can another human being see another human being laying and not administer some type of aid?
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org, our YouTube channel, Struggle Video Media. An awful video about a killing in Hebron, Palestine, has received a lot of attention. It was taken by a Palestinian volunteer for the Israeli human rights group B'Tselem. It shows the execution of an injured man by an Israeli soldier. We'll only show still videos taken from the video. Here's what happened. 2 Palestinians allegedly attacked and stabbed an Israeli soldier. They were then both shot, but one of the Palestinians was still moving, the man you see on the ground. In the video, you can see soldiers and others milling around the person for some minutes, basically ignoring him. Then one soldier walks up to him. He's the man we circle in yellow. He shoots the wounded man in the head and kills him. Because it was caught on video, Army officers thought they had to take action, and they arrested the soldier and condemned the action publicly. Then a story was spread that the soldier had feared that the wounded man was trying to set off a bomb. It was a lie. In the video, you see soldiers and others casually walking by the man on the ground. But because Israeli society is awash in racism and hatred, popular feeling among Israeli Jews is that the soldier should not be charged at all. Turns out the killer was a medic, a medical person, who had sworn an oath to treat any of the wounded, whether they were a friend or an enemy. Instead, he killed a helpless man. It gets worse. The Palestinian who recorded the incident, Imad Abu Shamsia, has had his life threatened several times. B'Tselem has sent in a demand to the Army to protect their volunteer. For more, go to B'Tselem.org.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
A couple of years ago, a policeman in New York City recklessly decided to take out his gun while patrolling a dark stairway in a New York project. A completely innocent man named Akai Gurley walked into the stairway. The policeman shot his gun, and Gurley was killed in a ricochet. Last month, the policeman was found guilty of manslaughter, but it has been learned that the prosecutor in the case has written to the judge and asked that the convicted shooter not be given any jail time. In New Haven, Akai Gurley's aunt spoke at a rally organized by Answer.
Because we are in a struggle, we are in a fight and die for our lives. Not only our lives, but our children's, our grandchildren's, their children's children, because of this racist system.
Amen.
My name is Hortensia Peterson. These are Akai Gurley's cousins. This is 2 generations of Akai Gurley standing right here. On November 20th, 2014, Akai Gurley was visiting a friend in the Pink House Projects in Brooklyn, New York. Akai did nothing wrong, but went to get his hair braided because the very next day he was leaving New York to go visit his mother, to surprise her first of all, and spend Thanksgiving and the holidays with his mom. Akai left the apartment. The elevator was broken. One was working, one was broken. So they decided, him and his friend decided to decided to take the stairs. while they was waiting, they walked down. They said, you know what, we all know that when you live in the projects, sometimes the elevator works, sometimes it doesn't. This just happened to be where they came out, and Peter Liang and his partner Sean Landau were doing vertical patrol. We know when you do vertical patrol in housing, 9 times out of 10 there's a possibility that someone will be using the stairwell. 9 times out of 10, if you pulled your weapon out, you will hit someone. 9 times out of 10, when you are using these elevators, something can happen to you. When you're using these stairwells, something can happen to you. Whether you could get robbed, but you never would imagine getting shot by an NYPD officer. You never imagine being shot by someone that took an oath to serve and protect you. You never imagine being shot and an officer that recklessly shot his weapon walk around your body. Akai Gurley did nothing wrong, but simply walked some steps. After the bullet was discharged from his weapon, the first thing Peter Liang did or said, number 1, OF, I'm fired. Number 2, he went looking for the shell casing, looking for the bullet, looking to see where it was at, so him and his partner can cover it up. Fact number 1, Akai did nothing wrong, remember that. Right. But walked the stairs. After he went back into the stairwell, he came back out, as opposed to using his flashlight. You didn't use your flashlight prior, but you're using it afterwards to find the bullet and the casing. As he heard Melissa Butler, that's the young lady that was with my nephew, crying, they decided to go investigate. Upon reaching the 5th floor landing, because that's where Akai went from the 7th floor, 6th floor, and collapsed on the 5th floor. So he was partially in between the 5th floor and the 4th floor. Melissa was so frantic. She was traumatic. She went and knocked on a neighbor's door to receive, for her to call for help. Once she called for help, CPR was being administered. Peter Liang and his partner came down from the 8th floor, walk around Akai's body. Now Akai is laying in his urine and his blood. Not one of those officers checked his vital signs. Not one of those officers asked Melissa, do you need help? Now these officers both combined 18 months on the force. 18 months. You just came out of the academy. You should remember what you was taught. You're walking around a body. You're not administering or rendering any type of aid. You're more worried about your job. But yet, these are the people that we're paying, taxpayers are paying to serve and protect. These are the people that has taken an oath to serve and protect. These are the people that walk around when there's a person of color is laying on the ground dying by the bullet that they discharged. After that, he did not call it in. Listening to the tape, the 911 recording, they did not call it in. After that, you did nothing. You didn't look at the dying man and said, I'm sorry. You did not contact or try to say I'm sorry to the mother, to the one that gave life to him, to the one that nurtured him. And I always ask, and this is a question that I will continue to ask until I get the right answer. How on God's earth can another human being see another human being laying and not administer some type of aid? What kind of human being is that? Is it because it was a black man laying there? You figure that his life was not valuable? But Akai Gurley's life was valuable, not only to his mother, to his daughter, to his family. Akai Gurley was a father, a son, a nephew, a brother, Akai Gurley was human. And a week and a half ago, the district attorney for Brooklyn is going to secretly send a letter to the judge asking for leniency. He does not believe that Peter Liang had any intentions of killing Akai Gurley. First of all, when you discharge a weapon in a tight space, 9 times out of 10, the bullet will ricochet and hit something. This fateful night, that bullet hit my nephew. This fateful night, my whole family life has been turned upside down. That night, my world ended. And I know it's nobody but God that has been keeping me. Sleepless nights, but it's okay for life. I don't care who it was that discharged that weapon. It could have been another black man. It could have been an Asian man. It could have been a Hispanic. That's a human life. We're all human. Because if you cut you, you cut you, you cut me, our blood is still red.
Right.
For the DA office to prosecute that case, to look me in my eyes, December 2015, and said, this case is very personal and you want justice because of the manner in how Akai was murdered.
Right.
I'm not going to say kill, he was murdered.
You're right. You're right.
All my family ever wanted was accountability. Is that hard for us to get accountability because it was a black man, a Latino man, a white man, an Asian? No, it shouldn't be that hard. Because if you discharge your weapon and you took an innocent life, you should be held accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
You should, no matter whether you're a cop or not. First of all, he violated departmental procedures. He was told, and his partner, to not do vertical patrol, but they did. So because of being disobedient, my nephew's no longer here. Because of his disobedience, it's okay for the Brooklyn District Attorney, Ken Thompson, to ask for leniency. House arrest, 6 months, 500 hours community service, and probation for 5 years. What about Akai Gurley? When his parents need to see him, they have to travel 870 miles, 2 ways, going and coming from Jacksonville, Florida. Had the shoe been on the other foot, it was Akai Gurley that shot Peter Liang. He would not be out on bail. He would get the maximum, and the Brooklyn District Attorney would not have written a letter of recommendation to the judge. We already know that. So my question to Ken Thompson will and will always be, who did you sell your soul to? For power? Meanwhile, you have Akai Gurley's blood, Eric Garner's blood, everyone that has been murdered before Akai Gurley, after Akai Gurley, their blood is on his hand. This entire system, systematic, nationwide, we have to dismantle this system.
Yes, we do.
The only way we can do it as people of color is to stand together. Unity, solidarity equals diversity. So therefore, we can do it. But we have to stop trying to put each other down and try to see everything as race. It's not about race, it's not about color. We're all human. We're human first. But we have to let this system know we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. The mothers are sick and tired of burying their children. Children should be burying their parents, not the other way around. So come on, when are we gonna get it together? What do we want?
Justice!
When we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it?
Shut it down!
If we don't get it?
Shut it down!
If we don't get it?
Shut it down!
Because remember, yesterday was someone else. Don't let your loved ones, your nephew, your nieces, your mother, your sister be the up next hashtag. We don't want that no anymore. Our blood is precious just like anyone else. What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if Akai don't get it,
Shut it down!
if Akala don't get it,
Shut it down!
if Sylvia don't get it,
Shut it down!
all lives matter when Black lives matter. All lives matter when Black lives matter. All lives matter
When Black Lives Matter!
I thank you.
What up, everybody? What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
No justice!
No peace!
No racist!
Police!
Look like it's some good energy. My name is John Selders. I am the pastor of the Amistad United Church of Christ. I'm an associate college chaplain at Trinity College in Hartford, but most importantly, I'm one of the organizers and founders of Moral Monday CT in the house. My home, St. Louis. I was born and raised in St. Louis. August 9th, 2014, my life changed when Michael Brown, one of my nephews, was gunned down in the streets. And that wasn't no news, because police do that all the time. The news was young people in St. Louis and Ferguson said no, no more. They stood for something. And the hashtag Black Lives Matter took form, took energy, and sparking a revolution. And so we here in Connecticut took up the mantle and said we weren't going to stand for any more state-sanctioned violence. And so we've been on the move, doing our thing, shutting it down, carrying on like people who believe in freedom. Because people who believe in freedom can't rest until freedom comes.
That's right.
People who believe in freedom can't stop until justice rolls down like water. Yeah. So we are here in solidarity with Akai's family. We're sorry for your loss, but we got it with you. We got your back.
Yes, we do.
And as long as there is injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. I think Dr. King said that once or twice.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So here we are. We're here in downtown New Haven. Downtown New Haven. Let me tell you what we're here to do. Our duty is to fight for our freedom.
That's right.
Our duty is to win.
We spent a lot of time talking about Yemen in recent programs, and we're not going to bring it up again this week, except that a United Nations Children's Fund report came out that was highlighted by the New York Times. It confirmed that hundreds, perhaps 600, Yemeni children had been killed by Saudi-U.S. bombing. And then shockingly, it said that 10,000 children had lost their lives because the war had interrupted supplies of water and access to health care. In Connecticut, activists are picketing at Yale Law School as a way of opposing the Yemen war. See our website for details and SaudiUS.org for other actions. Now, Dr. Sharat Lin, who spoke at the Saudi summit about the lack of labor rights in the kingdom. He lived in Saudi Arabia until he was expelled for doing his job.
My involvement in Saudi Arabia begins back in the 1980s, and I was working there for a number of years. And actually, I was actually effectively expelled from the kingdom for the crime of reporting an inconsistency in the practices of the agency that I was working for, which reports to the Royal Cabinet. And I mean, it was the main point is that I had gone around the hierarchy or the reporting structure to report this inconsistency, and so that's what happened. Now, as far as the labor system in Saudi Arabia is concerned, now we are all very concerned about the human rights situation in Saudi Arabia and the executions, the way that people are punished for what in elsewhere in the world would be minor crimes or not even crimes at all. But another picture, which is actually in a way much bigger than these sorts of obvious human rights abuses, is the system of migrant labor, of bringing labor from other countries, because it affects at least 4 million people. And these people are coming from all over the world, most of them from countries like Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, and other Arab countries. Now, if a person has some grievances with their employment, yes, there is a mechanism that, over time, as some of the previous speakers have said, Saudi Arabia the government has tried to give the appearance of being progressive in the sense of responding to these problems and saying, okay, we've passed some new. Actually, it's not passed, but the king has decreed certain reforms to the labor law that will give more rights to workers. But the bottom line is that the employer controls everything. So when a worker comes in, is first hired, the employer takes their passport, and so that worker becomes, absolutely tied to that employer. And if a worker doesn't return to his or her job, then the employer issues a notice, publishes in the newspaper saying that this employee has disappeared, and anyone else in the kingdom who dares to employ that worker will face the consequences. So, in other words, the labor system in Saudi Arabia ties that employee to that employer. So, even though it's a capitalist system, it bears a resemblance to slavery, because the worker does not have the freedom to change employers. So this labor system is being perpetuated in Saudi Arabia. Now I just wanted to turn a little bit to a slightly different topic, which is about some of the political opposition. And there's a lot of that I hear about, that the human rights situation and the Islamic militancy that's coming about is rooted in Wahhabism. Of course, if you actually go to Saudi Arabia, you will probably never hear this word, Wahhabism, right? And I agree with one of the previous speakers in saying that this all comes about because of the totalitarian government that is controlled by the royal family, is imposed upon a conservative society. So
now we go back 10 years to one of the greatest events in American labor history, the 2006 boycott by immigrant workers. Some terrible anti-immigrant laws were making their way through Congress, and Latinos started to demonstrate, first by the thousands, then by the tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. On May Day 2006, millions boycotted work and took to the streets. In New Haven, some 4,000 were on the green, and they took part in a die-in called by anti-war activists. and then they marched. Well, after these demonstrations, those anti-immigrant laws were withdrawn. Sadly, however, the politicians got involved, and they channeled all that wonderful, beautiful direct action into get out the vote drives and endless, useless attempts to get good immigration laws passed by Congress. As outright hatred of Latinos is becoming legit in some quarters, and fascism is rearing its ugly head, we should pay attention to the lesson taught us by the Latino workers in 2006. And the annual celebration of International Workers' Day, May Day, will take place on the New Haven Green, Sunday afternoon, May 1st. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is The Struggle.